Now, let's look at some themes, the argument, some of the themes that are found in this book. There are certain key expressions which run through this epistle and are woven into its fabric in golden strands. They bring out the tapestry of this letter's main purpose. And the purpose is to urge Jews who have been brought to the doors of salvation to go on and not to draw back. So that is the purpose, to go forward with this one called Christ. So some of the themes are here with some of these ideas that show up continually. The first one of the themes is perfection. Perfection. This is not the idea of sinlessness. Sinlessness. I'll go and borrow my laver for a moment. That is one of the things that this teaches. There's no such thing as sinless perfection. Because why did they have to wash continually in the tabernacle system? Why did they wash once and then they were just clean forever? This pictured justification when the priest was washed entirely, and it pictured sanctification where the priest would cleanse his hands and feet. And that's part of what Jesus was trying to teach Peter. When Jesus wanted to wash Peter's feet, and Peter says, no. And he says, well, then you have no part with me. Peter said, well, then wash all of me. And he says, you've been washed, all of you. He actually uses two Greek words there. We'll look at it next week with tabernacle offerings when we study this. But he used two Greek words. The one was, there was one where he was washed entirely, and then there was another Greek word where he's cleansed. But the fact that the priest had to continually be washed shows that there's no such thing as sinless perfection. So this theme in the book of Hebrews, the idea of perfection here, is not the idea of sinlessness, but the idea of maturity. Maturity. Growing up in the Lord. Going forward with God. You got a concordance. You can put this down. I'll give you the passages real fast if you care to try to write them down. Otherwise but let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. In 2:10, 5:9, 6:1, 7:11. I got a slushy. Also in 19 and 18 in that verse, in that chapter. So Psalm 7, verses 11, verse 19, verse 28. Also 10:14 and 12, 1 through 2. All right, so perfection. Why is this theme important? Well, because the idea of maturity. Grow up. Grow up. Go forward. This is scary, but it grows you up. Abraham, are you willing to look for a city whose builder and maker is God? Yeah, I'm a little scared though. Isn't that part of growing up, getting over your fears? Think about Hebrews 11 and all the fears that would have been there. And part of growing up is getting over your fears. I was afraid of doing taxes when I was a kid. My mom's a little bit of a pack rat, so she's got like receipts from hundreds of years ago. So as a kid, I always thought that you had to have 50 tons of paper to do your taxes. And so as a kid, I'm thinking, I'm scared to death to grow up, because I don't know if I mentally can be that organized to have, every scrap of paper that ever comes into my possession organized. I'm not ready to be a grown-up. There are certain things, the fear of the unknown about growing up. But when you get over it, you don't look back. I was a little bit nervous about taking my driver's test. but I sure am glad I can drive. You know, Sarah Boots can't drive right now. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
I think I was telling your wife that. Yeah, so because of a little glitch on her insurance, she can't drive for 90 days. I don't envy that. It's like, oh man, the drudgery of having to drive. She doesn't have that now. No, I'm glad I can drive. I'm very happy. But I was nervous. Okay, so he's this idea of perfection is Hebrew people. It's good. It's going to be scary. Yes, there's a lot of outside pressure. But to overcome that pressure with the Lord's help, you'll be more mature, you'll grow up, and you'll be glad you did. You'll be glad you did. You don't want to stay in diapers forever. You want to grow up and say goodbye to those childish things. You want your eyes opened to the will of God and how exciting it is. We've heard that lately, haven't we? I mean, last night, Dr. Strange, he was saying that how there's no life as good as following the Lord. There's no life better than that. So perfection. Then there's 4 words that kind of I grouped together: eternal, or forever, everlasting, or ever. So those 4 words show up in the book: eternal, forever, everlasting, and ever. He ever liveth. You know, that type of, he ever liveth to make intercession for us. Why is this theme important? Well, okay, the priest, for my video audience, the priest would he would go in over and over and over again, continually. His work was never finished. He never got to sit down. And for that matter, now you're telling me that whole system is obsolete. So how long is this system going to last for? If systems come and go, okay, that system is gone now, you're saying? So can you tell me how long this system is here for? I think politically that comes up sometimes, doesn't it? You wonder, you have a lame duck, presidency or whatever. There's the time where he doesn't have enough time to get something done. He's a lame duck because he can't get anything accomplished, possibly because he only has control of so much of the House and Senate. He can't get something done. So what? Am I going to pitch that and then try this and then this will fail? Or will this get replaced by something? Systems come and go, apparently. That system is gone. How long is this system here for? So it's nice to see those words: forever, everlasting, eternal, ever. Christ was fulfilling it. And what he was doing was going to be good for the rest of time and then beyond. So that's why this is so good. Eternity. I want to know how long I'm good for, right? I like the fact that I have a lifetime permit to carry, concealed carry permit, lifetime. I like that word, lifetime, and hopefully that I don't get shot pulling it out the wrong time. But lifetime, I hope that's a good long life. But I want to know, how long is this good for? Here's your license. How long is this good for? Here's this. How long is this good for? Here's this. How long is this good for? And if you're going to say goodbye to what you wrapped your whole life in and wrap your life into something else and then place all of your security in that, you want to know, how long is this good for? Kind of like moving to a new bank. Or there's just some sort of investment. You want to put something into it, you say, how long is this good for? If you're going to invest in a mutual fund, or even something like that, you want to say, how long has this company been in existence? 80 years. Oh, so they have some history. And of those 80 years, can I see some records of how they did? Because before I put my money in here, I want to do my due diligence. I want to read a prospectus. I want to know that my investment will be safe. And what greater investment do we have than our lives and our family? So you say, I'm going to invest my life in this one Jesus. How long is that good for? And so the fact that this is a very important theme in the book of Hebrews. Christianity is not a passing craze. There is security and permanence, as opposed to Judaism, that is now showing itself to be temporary and passing. So again, you could look up these passages, or you could look up these words in your concordance, or you can try to jot them down. We got 5:9, 6:2, 9:12, and 14 and 15. So chapter 9, verses 12 and 14 and 15. And 13:20. And then some other words I'll go back through. 1:8, some of these other words. The everlasting and the ever. 5:6, 6:20, 7. There's 4 verses in 7. Verses 17, 21, 24, and 28, as well as 13:8. So how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So about 14 times we see this idea of eternal and forever and everlasting and ever. So that's important. How long is this good for? If I'm investing in this, I want it to be good forever. Isn't that exciting when you invest in eternal things? You know that investment will pay dividends for all eternity. That's exciting. That's one of the themes that comes up in stewardship time. You want to invest in heaven. We got Matthew 6, I think, where he talks about not investing in on this earth where moth and rust doth corrupt, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven where moth and rust don't ever corrupt, and thieves can't break through and steal. There's security there, and there's the returns for all of eternity. And we say, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. As an investor, you want to know how long is this good for? How secure is it? You want to maximize return. You want to minimize risk. And there's no better way than investing in eternal things. And that's why this is a related theme for Hebrews. This is good forever. All right, here's another theme. Heaven, or heavens, or heavenly. So heaven or heavens or heavenly. This was going to be a contrast. Jesus is God. Where is he? Well, part of the answer is that this is all earthly. Judaism is earthly. And what Christ has to offer is heavenly. Christianity is heavenly. The nature of Christianity versus the earthly nature of Judaism. So, some of the passages I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of these. So heaven or heavens or heavenly, found 13 times. That's 1:10, 4:14, 7:26, 8:1, 9:24, and 12 verses 25 and 26. Bear with me, I'm almost done. These I don't have a bunch of passages for these other ones. And then a few more with maybe heavenly. 3:1, 6:4, 8:5, 9:23, 11:16, and 12:22. Okay, so the heavenly nature, which is better. Heaven, we're supposed to seek the kingdom of God and His righteousness. We're supposed to be wrapped up in heaven. Colossians tells us, set your affection on things above. Jesus told us in the Gospels to lay up our treasure in heaven. The fact that Christianity was more heavenly in nature, in fact, that's where our high priest passed into the heavens. That high priest would pass into the Holy of Holies once a year, and then there was sacrifices morning and evening throughout the entire year. It was ongoing and perpetual and never complete. And our high priest was the great high priest who passed into the heavens because he completed his work. And there he makes intercession for us. He intercedes on our behalf. It's much better. Heavenly is much better than earthly. And so this is a theme that's important. And then, we already talked about this one. Or no, not this one yet, but better. Better is a word, and I don't have it written down here, but I think it appears about 13 times in Hebrews. But better is certainly a theme. And you'll be convinced of that before this class is over. Christ is better. Christianity is better. Better covenant. Better tabernacle. Better sacrifice. Better priest. Better everything. Hebrews proves powerfully that Judaism is a poor second to Christianity. Christ is better than the angels. We have a better covenant, a better sacrifice, better resurrection, etc. So better is certainly a theme in this book. And then let us. I didn't look this up yet, but I'm pretty sure that in Greek is what's known as a hortatory subjunctive. A hortatory subjunctive. I was going to look that up again because what it is it's a type of imperative. It's a subjunctive, but when it's a hortatory subjunctive, it has the idea of an imperative. I might be messing that up slightly, but it's not a suggestion, it's a command. So, let us. This is an expression of vital importance used to urge the believer to personally appropriate all that is in Christ. It's not enough to walk to the edge of Canaan and look in and nod with approval. It's not enough to step one foot into Canaan. You need to get away from the border and jump in. So whether you're here looking in and you go, oh, it's better in there than out here, but there's battles that I'm not willing to fight. Or you step in and you just, kind of like Joshua, you only take part of the land. You need to leave this. You're satisfied with so much, and then that comes back and haunts you. You need to get in and get busy and fight and appropriate all that is in Christ. Have a victorious Christian life. Let's see. I brought this. I bought this one from a bookstore. And this is God's Let Us patch. So this is studies from the book of Hebrews, and so this goes through. I thought this might be fun to look at. But let us therefore fear, let us labor therefore, let us hold fast our profession, let us therefore come boldly, let us go on to perfection. So he goes through. I think there's 13 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So God's let us patch. God's let us patch. And so he goes into the God. I think he says here 13 times in 12 different verses the phrase let us appears. There are 12 instances that the Lord, through the Apostle Paul, so he's thinking that Paul wrote this, exhorts believers to band together as a unit to do something. So this is kind of interesting. I'll just set this here and you can glance at it. But let us is we need to. That's a command. He died to save us, so we better take it seriously. But he also died so that we could have life and life more abundant. We need to take that seriously too. To just be saved and then live life like he doesn't exist. You say, well, I'm not offending him because I did at least let him save me. No. Well, I wonder if you're actually saved with that attitude. But then we have real Christians living second-rate Christian lives. And that's also an offense. when you try to be friends with the world and friends with Him, God is very clear that you can't. You're an adulterer, an adulteress. And He's not saying that playfully. So let us. And then, that word we saw in Paul's word of exhortation, that word lest. Lest. So this is kind of an or else type thing. Lest. This word, in contrast, is used to express the dread possibility of missing the real thing altogether, even if the original response to the gospel was encouraging. So lest here, that idea is an or else type idea. So this is the danger of looking and seeing that Christ is what you need and deciding, I don't care. I don't care. Kind of the same mistake they made at the border of Canaan when He said, go on in. And the 10 spies came back and said, yeah, it's good. There is these grapes, and it is a land flowing with milk and honey, but there are giants. And Joshua and Caleb were there and saying, no. Hey, we are well able to take it. Come to find out later on, 40 years later, Rahab is like, oh, we heard about you guys from 40 years before. Oh, we're scared. Because we heard what God did to the Egyptians and how He opened up the Red Sea. They were scared 40 years later. So imagine how much more scared they would have been 40 years earlier. These people, these unstoppable people, were petrified. And it took them 40 years to go in there, and they were still scared. But Rahab says, yeah, the fear of God, of your God, had fallen on us. They would have just gone in. It would have been easy, but they decided it couldn't be done. I'm learning that when your alarm goes off in the morning, if you debate whether you're going to get up or not, you don't. Mm-hmm. If you think about, let's see, do I need a little extra sleep? You always decide that you do. But if you just get up and you head out the door, or you just get up and you start moving, and then you start the debate, you often decide that you can keep going. It's whatever you start doing. As you debate, it's easier to do whatever you're doing while you debate. So the alarm goes off, shut it off, grab some duds or whatever, and you head out or whatever, and you're thinking, I'm really tired. Should I go back to bed? And you think, I think what I'm going to get done though if I keep rolling. But if you go back to bed and lay there and think, boy, do I feel like I ought to get up, or do I feel like I really ought to stay here? You tend to stay where you're going to be. So lest, this idea of missing it. You want to jump in, start doing right, and you find that. So if you debate on the edge of Canaan, and you think, let me decide, does it make sense? No. Just go in, just obey, and then watch it make sense, because someone far bigger and more powerful told you to do it. It doesn't make sense to walk on water either. God's will doesn't make sense to our pea brains. And it's exciting. If it made sense to us, that means that we can wrap our brain around it, which means it's awfully small if we can wrap our brain around it. I like the idea that maybe He can give us something we can't wrap our brains around because He's so much bigger than we are. So lest, the idea of missing out.